Welcome to Biology, My Passion. I am Soumya Harikrishna. Today we are going to learn the chapter Heredity and Evolution. We will be focusing mainly on heredity. We learned reproduction chapter before. What is reproduction? Reproduction is the process of producing new organisms similar to the parents. So they are similar but not identical. So reproduction can be of two types: sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. What is the fundamental difference? If there is only one parent involved in the reproduction process, we call it as asexual reproduction. If there are two parents involved, like one male and one female, we call it as sexual reproduction. So, if you take an example of asexual reproduction, you can see in this figure, there is a single organism first giving rise to two new individuals. So, the two new individuals produced in reproduction can be otherwise called a progeny, or another term used is offspring. So, offspring or progeny refer to new individuals produced in reproduction. So, here one organism asexually reproduces into two new organisms. Then each one of them again giving rise to two more organisms. Here if you look at this diagram, you can see some changes here. So they all are basically having the same feature. Why? Because they are all forming from the same parent. So the blueprint or the DNA copy is being passed. So the general characteristics will remain the same. But we can find still differences among them. So this is the parent. Are these two offspring same? No. This part is different for the first one and this part is different for the second one. If this organism is reproducing, the change which happened in this generation will of course pass on to the next generation. But along with that, the next progeny may produce unique variations of its own. The same way here, this variation was passed on to both the individuals. In addition, there happened some unique differences. So, comparatively, the variations are less when it is asexual reproduction. But in sexual reproduction, variations are more. Why? Because two individuals are combining, their DNA is combining, so new combination is forming. As a result, variations are more in sexual reproduction. Here, each individual is inheriting the variation from the parental generation, plus they have their own unique variations of their own. So, here in case of asexual reproduction, variations are less, but still they happen. How? Because of certain errors in DNA copying. In spite of taking care of the accurate mechanism of DNA replication, there can occur some errors. Those errors will lead to variations in the offspring. So, asexual reproduction leads to less variation, sexual reproduction leads to more variation. So, which is better? Of course, sexual reproduction is better because we need more variations. Variations will help us to adjust with our changing environment. As a result, eventually it will lead to evolution. So always sexual reproduction is preferred over asexual reproduction. This is the male parent. We represent male like this in case of genetics. And there is a female parent. So they both are contributing equal amount of their genetic material. What is our genetic material? DNA. So they contribute equal amount of genetic material to the child or the offspring. So the offspring is inheriting one set of DNA or chromosomes from the father, that is called a paternal, one set from the mother, that is maternal. Right. So for every single trait means what? Character. For every character, we will have two copies of genetic material or gene in us. Okay, so the genetic material is DNA. A part of the DNA coding for a protein is called a gene. So that gene will control our character. For example, if the father is having curly hair, so he will pass on the gene for curly hair to the child. Suppose mother is having straight hair, she will pass on the straight hair gene to the child. Right? So two contrasting genes are coming for a single trait or single character called a hair type. The same way, if one parent is sending one particular type of skin color, maybe fair or dark, another parent is giving another shade of the skin color. So for every trait, the child has two alternatives. But what will appear in child? Will the child have curly hair or straight hair? Or will the child be dark or fair in skin color? So like this, each character should be determined. So where will we get the answer for this? So an answer to all these questions we get from a branch of biology called genetics. Genetics was started by some experiments done by an Austrian monk or priest called Gregor Johann Mendel. He is known as the father of genetics. Almost a century ago, he started his experiments in certain plants called garden peas. And his experiments in them gave us an idea about the technique of genetics. So it developed into a branch of biology. Actually, genetics deals with two aspects. One is heredity. Second one is variation. Heredity means the tendency of the offspring to resemble their parents. We know in certain features we are similar to our parents. For example, there are two types of earlobes we can see in people. So one is called a free earlobe, means this part, this end part is free. Whereas in other people it may be like this, fused with this part. So it is fused. So that is called a attached. So this is free earlobe, this is attached. Now look at yours. What do you have, free or attached? So whatever you have, then go and check your parents. From which parent you inherited that. So that is a heredity. Or you may have curly hair. That is another heredity you got from your parents. Or your skin color you got as heredity from your parents. Your height you got as heredity from your parents. Your blood group you got as heredity from your parents. Right? So several features we are resembling our parents. The tendency of the offspring to resemble parents is called a heredity. But are we identical to them? No. We have variations. In certain features we are unique. They don't have it, but we have it. Right? So the tendency of the offsprings to differ from the parents is called a variation. So similarity to parents is called a heredity. Our differences from our parents is called a variation. Okay. So these are the two branches of genetics. Genetics deals with the study of heredity and variation. Now let us move on to the study by Mendel. Gregor Johann Mendel. He was born in German-speaking family and they used to do farming. So in his childhood, he was involved in the procedure of farming, so he was well aware of it. From childhood, he had very good passion towards mathematics and science. When he grew up, because of his some illness and also because of financial problems, it was very difficult for him to pursue his studies. So he wanted to become a teacher in his profession. But it was very difficult for him to achieve. So he joined a monastery. He became a priest partly because that could solve the financial problems of education. There he pursued his studies. But unfortunately, when he went for the oral examination, Viva examination, he couldn't clear the exam. So he did not become a teacher. He came back to his monastery, continued. One more time he tried. He failed in the Viva again. So he couldn't accomplish his dream of becoming a teacher. So he took up the job of a monk or a priest and he started working there in one of the monasteries or the church. He had 2 acres of garden around his church where he started doing his experiment. It was called his experimental garden. So he was very much interested in doing experiments in agriculture. He had a farming background. He wanted to do something better or something new in that field. So he chose a type of plant called a garden pea. Or the scientific name of the plant is Pisum sativum. So whenever you write scientific name, remember first name should be capital letter, species name should be small letter. So Pisum sativum or garden pea was his experimental material. So he started doing some cross hybridization experiments in them. What do you mean by cross hybridization? Suppose if this is a plant, this is another plant, we are cross hybridizing them. That is, we can take the pollen grain of one plant and dust it on the stigma of another plant. So we are crossing this. Okay, so he started doing hybridization experiments. Actually, these were not new in the field of biology. All farmers and agriculturists used to do this. But what was special about Mendel? I told he had a good passion towards mathematics. So, without simply doing this experiment, or in spite of simply carrying out these experiments, he started noting down the results in a mathematical form. Mendel always kept a statistical record of what he did. How many plants he took, how many seeds he got, how many of them were of particular trait, how many of them showed another trait. So everything he formulated as a statistical data. Then what happened? He could find some ratio in them. Some ratios were repeating. So based on that, he conducted the experiment several times and with the several plants. Then finally, he formulated 3 laws or 3 hypotheses. And he published it in one of the scientific magazines present locally. But Mendel was not that fortunate. His work was not noticed well. There are many reasons that we tell about this. One could be because of lack of publicity. You know, that time social media was not very popular like today that we have. And second thing, Charles Darwin had released his book on origin of species about natural selection. So the biological world was more focused on that. And the third reason could be because he used mathematics in biology. So that time we never used to integrate subjects. So the biologists of that time could not accept mathematics in biology. So because of all these reasons, nobody gave much attention to his work, or he was not recognized. So he continued his work and he died in the year 1884. For after 16 years of his death, in 1900, 3 different scientists, Hugo de Vries, Carl Correns and Erich von Zermatt, they independently rediscovered this experiment. They also did the experiments, they got the result. When they checked, they found that almost 40 years back, some priest had done this work and proposed his hypothesis. So posthumously, he was regarded or he was accepted as father of genetics. So now we know Gregor John Mendel as father of genetics. Let us discuss the characteristics studied by Mendel. He chose the garden pea or Pisum sativum. Pisum sativum has many visible contrasting traits. Means by looking at it, we can easily say certain features. There are 7 characters that Mendel chose for his experiments. Plant height. Plant height, 2 types of plants were available, tall plants and short plants. Easily we could make out whether the plant is tall or plant is short. Then flower color, violet flower or white flower, visible. Seed color, yellow seed or green seed. Seed shape, round seed or wrinkled seed. Round means fully filled, like if you see mutter and all, you know that it is fully filled. But there are certain seeds which are wrinkled, not completely filled, wrinkled. Then seed pod color. Pod means you know that in beans there is a pod in which the seed is kept, right? So the pod color green can be there or yellow pods are there. The same way pod shape. Some beans, you know, from the top we can feel the seeds or we can see the impression of the seed. That is called a constricted. Whereas some types of beans, it is completely inflated, full. So we can't get the impression of seed over it. Okay. So inflated or constricted. Then flower position. In some case, flower is on the axis. Whereas in some case, it is in the terminal position. So these were the different traits or characters selected by Mendel for his experiment. Now let us discuss the first character, plant height, tall into short. So here how many characters are we choosing? Only 1. So this is called a mono-hybrid cross. Mono means 1. We are making a hybrid considering only 1 character. So it is called a mono-hybrid cross. This was a cross done by Mendel. Okay. So Mendel's experiment goes like this. He first chose a tall plant. I'm just drawing a plant like this. Okay. Then he chose another short plant. Okay, this is tall plant, this is short plant. Then he first cross-pollinated. Cross-pollinated. What do you mean by cross-pollination? Combining two characters from different plants. So maybe he took the pollen grain from one plant and dusted it on the stigma of the other plant and waited for the seeds to produce. Once he got the seeds, he grew them. So normally when we are doing such an experiment, what will be our expectation about the progeny? We expect it to be intermediate character or medium height plants, because one plant is tall, other plant or parent is short. So obviously the progeny should have medium size. But to his surprise, he found all plants to be tall only. Not even a single plant was short. So he was surprised. What happened? Where did that shortness go? Then second step, what he did, so this was a crossing between two parents. Now second generation, what did he do? He self-pollinated. Self-pollination. Self-pollinated means what? The pollen grains of a flower is dusted on the stigma of the same flower. So whatever he got in this generation is otherwise called as F1 generation. F1 stands for first filial generation, means first generation. Okay, so F1 generation plants, he self-pollinated, did not go for cross-pollination, self-pollinated. Self-pollinated means what? The same plant, the same genetic combination is coming. So once he self-pollinated it, to his surprise, he got 75% of the plants were tall. But 1/4 of the progeny or 25% showed short plants. But in the immediate parent, short plants were not there, all were tall. But again, shortness reappeared. So this is the F2 generation. And he understood these tall plants, though they express tallness as the characteristic, but they had the gene for shortness in them. That is why it could express in the F2 generation. And when he studied this, he got roughly a ratio 3:1. Okay, so 3:1 ratio means 75% is tall and 25% short. Then he found that whenever two genes are coming together of tall and short, so tall is dominating the short one. So tall is becoming visible, short is not visible. So he called it as law of dominance. That means the dominant character or one character will dominate the other. So the one getting expressed is called the dominant trait, and the one which is suppressed is called the recessive trait. And also he found that there is no mixing of these characters happening. To one germ cell or the gamete, only one will go, either tallness or shortness. That's why there is no blending. So that was the second law, law of segregation. So he proposed two laws, law of dominance, law of segregation after his monohybrid cross. He did not stop with this. He repeated this several times, again and again and again he was getting 3:1 ratio. Then he did it with the next character, maybe flower color, violet into white. There also the same thing. When violet plant was crossed with a white plant, he got violet in the F1 progeny, and when it was self-pollinated, he got violet and white in the ratio 3:1. Then he repeated it for all the 7 characters. Every time he was getting 3:1 ratio. So he proposed the laws based on this. Now, can we represent a cross? This is called a cross. But can we represent a cross always drawing diagram? It's difficult. So there is a systematic way of representing a cross. Let us see. While writing a cross, we need to understand the concepts of phenotype and genotype. What is phenotype? Phenotype means the visible expression of a character. That means what we can see. I am telling this flower is, so this plant is tall. How do I know? Because I can see it is tall. Or I am saying this flower is violet. Or I am saying elephant is black. Or I am saying you are tall. Or I am saying you have curly hair. How do I know? I can see these characters. So visible characters or expression of visible characters is called a phenotype. But you know that character is because of some genes in us. But we don't know what is the constitution of that gene making that character. So the genetic constitution is called a genotype. So when I am writing tall into dwarf, that is the phenotype I am writing. Now next I have to write genotype. How will I write genotype? We use alphabets of English language for writing the genotypes. But we follow a convention. You can take any alphabet of your choice, but it is always to follow a rule to avoid mistakes. So here, when we cross a tall plant with a dwarf plant, we know that tall plants will appear in the F1 for the first generation. That means tall is dominant. So we usually take the first alphabet of the dominant trait. Here it is tall. So what is the first alphabet of this? T. Okay. So T we can take in two ways, uppercase and a lowercase. So uppercase or capital T represents the dominant trait. Each small letter should be used for representing the recessive trait. For example, here if it is tall, okay, so which alphabet should I use? I have to use T. Again it is dominant, so I have to go for capital T. But I will write it two times. Do you know why? Because we are getting two genes from two parents, because we are talking about sexual reproduction. So for every trait we have two genes. So I am writing two similar ones here, okay, capital T and capital T. Whereas here, which alphabet should I use? Can I use D? No, don't go for D. Whatever you took here, its recessive means it's a small letter should come. That is small t, small t. Always take like this. Whatever you are taking here, its small letter should come here. So no confusion. So this is called a genotype. Now you know that when gametes are forming, gametes will have only one set of chromosome, because gametes are formed by a reduction, division or meiosis. So during that time chromosome number will become half, we call it as haploid. So out of these two, only one gene will be there in the gamete. So each gamete will have only one gene for a character. So here also you can write it two times, but doesn't make any difference because both are identical. So no need to write twice, it was confusing. So cross pollination. We are explaining Mendel's cross. He took tall plant, dwarf plant, cross pollinated. So what will he get? He is getting capital T and small t. We just have to write these two together. Notice here I put a circle around this. So whenever we are writing gamete, we put a circle just to show that it is haploid, because only one is there. Wherever I am writing two letters, I am not putting a circle. Now this I can write as F1. This is the first generation. And what is its expression of phenotype? This is the genotype. Alphabets I wrote, so it is genotype. What is the expression of it? See, having a capital letter, at least one capital letter is there, its phenotype will come. So capital letter stands for tall. So these plants are tall. So the next we are going to self-pollinate, that is capital T small t into capital T small t. So how will you get it? So to do F2 generation, we are self-pollinating the F1. So here, are the genes identical? No. So we have to write capital T within circle, small t within circle. Because when this individual is producing gametes, half of them will have capital T, half of them will have small t. The same way here also, capital T, small t. So one parent produces two here also another two. Now let us see the possibility of their combination. So the first one from here can combine with either of this. So both the possibilities we are going to write. Suppose if this capital T, combine this with capital T, what will we get? Capital T, capital T. Suppose one more option is there, it can also combine with this. So if that happens, capital T, small t. Then next is, so this option is over. This had two options over. Now the second one from this can also bind with or combine with this. So the possibility is, the next is, so we are getting 4 probabilities. It's not that we are going to get 4 offsprings. 4 probabilities or chances are there. What are they? Suppose capital T and capital T comes, what is the phenotype? Tall. Here in both these cases, one capital letter is there. At least one capital letter is there, it will express. So, tall, tall. And the last one is short. So, if you see the ratio, you can write the phenotypic ratio. What is it? Phenotypic ratio is equal to 3 tall is to 1 short. Whereas, genotypic ratio, here 3 tall, but are they having the same genotype? No. One is tall because of capital T. 2 are tall because of capital T, small t. The last one is short or recessive because it doesn't have any dominant allele. So, it is small t, small t. Okay. So, genotypic and phenotypic ratios have to be written at the end of a cross. Only then your cross will be complete. So, you have to start with the parental generation, do till F2, then finally end with the ratio. So, whenever you are doing a monohybrid cross, means involving a single character or you are considering a single character, you should get 3:1 as the phenotypic ratio and 1:2:1 as the genotypic ratio. Got it? Now, sometimes you may be asked to write a percentage also. So, let us see if 3 is present means what? 75% will be dominant and 25% will be recessive. The same way if you take here 25% is capital T, 25% is, 50% is capital T small t and 25% is recessive small t small t. So here I will introduce 2 more terminologies to you. Already we discussed phenotype and genotype. Phenotype means what? The visible expression of a character. Genotype means what? The genetic constitution of that character that we represent using alphabets. Capital letter for dominant, small letter for recessive. Now look at this. Here these two are different, right? So they are 2 forms of the gene height. We consider height as a character. The gene has got 2 forms. Either it can be capital T or it can be small t. So, we call it as alleles. So, different forms of a gene are called alleles. A-L-L-E-L-E-S, alleles. Okay. The same way, here in this case, both alleles are same or identical, 2 capital letters. Or in this case, both are identical, 2 small letters. If it comes like that, we call it as homozygous condition. Whereas, in this case it is different, 1 capital letter and 1 small letter. There we call it as heterozygous condition. Now let us discuss another example. Flower color, violet into white. So 2 alternatives are there for the flower color, violet and white. So here also violet is the dominant trait. Okay. So once it is proven by experiments, Mendel already proved which is dominant, which is recessive, it will not change. So whenever you take pea plant, violet is dominant. Okay. So violet into white, I am writing the phenotype. So what should I write next? The genotype. So when I write the genotype, I have to take the alphabet. Now we know the rule. Which is dominant? Violet. So capital V will come for violet, and for white what will come? Not W. We have to take small letter V. So capital V into small v, small v. See, when you are writing small letter, suppose you are writing capital V like this, small letter like this. Only size difference is very confusing, children. So what you have to do, always give a swing. Suppose you are writing W. Make it like this. If you are writing P, make it like this. Okay, so if the uppercase and lowercase look similar, then make some swing or curve so that we can easily distinguish. Okay, now next stage we have to consider the gamete. So here it will produce capital V, here it will produce small v, cross V, capital V, small v. This is the F1 generation. We are just writing together F1 generation, and here it is all violet. So the next is capital V, small v into capital V, small v, because this one we are self-pollinating, so both the sides will be similar. This can produce two types of gametes, capital V and small v, capital V and small v. These are the two alleles of the gene for flower color. Okay, so this time I am using another method to solve or find the F2 generation. That is called a checkerboard, using a checkerboard, or I am using a Punnett square. Punnett square was designed by a scientist called Punnett, so it is named after him. So, how many offsprings are we expecting? 2 into 2, 4. So, we have to make a checkerboard with the 4 columns in it. Like this. So, the first two we will write on top. Capital V, small v. The next two we will write vertically down. Again same only, capital V, small v. Now it is just like a cross multiplication. This V and this V. So capital V, capital. From here, capital V. From top what is coming? Small v. Here, capital V. So from here small v is coming. From here capital V. Always write capital letter first, then small letter. Then what is next? Next, small v, small. So now we will write the phenotype of this. So the first one is obviously violet. This also violet. This also violet. This is white. Right? So we got the phenotypic ratio 3:1. 3 violet is to 1 white. You have to write that. Phenotypic ratio 3 violet is to 1 white. What is genotypic ratio? 1 capital V is to 2 capital V small v is to 1 small v small v. So we got the result the same. So you can find it out either of this way. The first one I showed just by drawing some lines, connecting them. The second one is using a checkerboard. Sometimes in the question paper they will insist, they will tell find out the F2 generation using a checkerboard or a Punnett square. Then you have to use only this method for the examination. So now you can practice the other questions. Randomly you can take any characters I discussed. Seed color, yellow into green. So you can take capital Y for yellow, small y for green. Or the seed shape, round into wrinkled. Capital R for round and small r for wrinkled. So this is how we are representing monohybrid cross.